Dawn, June 6th. The Allied fleet approaches the Normandy coast. German General von Rundstedt has only 2 panzer divisions, the Lehr and the 12th, with a third, the 21st Panzer, 25 kilometers away, to hold up the entire invasion. Von Rundstedt's units rush to engage the Allies' 5 landing sites, hoping to contain their beachheads until reinforcements arrive. 700 kilometers south in Montauban, Das Reich is ordered to Normandy as fast as possible. The brilliantly eccentric codebreakers, led by Alan Turing, are intercepting German military signals. They know Das Reich's location and strength: 15,000 men, 1,400 vehicles, and 209 tanks, including dozens of brand new Panthers, the most potent tank yet built. British military intelligence fear that Das Reich could easily be in Normandy before the landing is secure. April 1944. The course of World War II hangs in the balance as preparations get underway for Operation Overlord, the long-awaited Allied invasion of France. 1.6 million US, British and Canadian troops are amassing across southern England, ready to form the biggest invasion fleet in history. Generals identify 3 potential landing grounds. Pas-de-Calais is the obvious choice. It offers the shortest route with a ready-made port and the quickest route into Germany itself. Cherbourg, on the Cotentin Peninsula, also has a big ready-made port, with land access south as well as east. Then there's the Normandy coast, close to the port of Ouistreham, and offering the shortest route to liberate Paris. Wherever the force lands, it cannot all land at once. First few days offer the best and perhaps last opportunity to drive the Allies back into the sea. Most experienced and fanatical armored division to do it. That unit is in Russia. It is the crack 2nd SS Panzer division called Das Reich. Führer orders Das Reich to Montauban in southwest France to re-equip and make ready to hit the landing force wherever it should land. The Allies desperately need a way to stop them. The first option is air attack, but Montauban is at the very limit of bomber range, and most aircraft will be needed to cover the invasion itself. The only other option is the French resistance. Secret group civilian fighters called the Maquis, estimated to total 500,000 across the country. But lacking weapons and training, they have so far failed to inflict any major damage on the Germans. So new teams of British agents, coordinated by the Special Operations Executive in London, are parachuted into the areas Das Reich must travel through on their way north. By the 5th of June, the RAF and USAF have dropped over 2,000 tons of weapons, including tens of thousands of light machine guns, rifles and pistols, plus 200 tons of explosive and ammunition to the Maquis and their SOE handlers, waiting for the invasion to begin. Dawn, June 6th. The Allied fleet approaches the Normandy coast. One of the first SOE agents to try to stop them is 22-year-old Tony Brooks. Brooks's Maquis teams destroy tank lifting cranes at Ambrieux, Montauban, Cahors, Bourg, and Agen. They put 107 locomotives out of action and cut rail lines with explosives at 15 different places. To make doubly sure, Brooks and the Maquis get French railway workers to apply abrasive paste to the axle bearings of all 96 railcars at Montauban, guaranteeing they will seize up in a matter of minutes of being moved. By the 8th of June, Lamadink realizes the only option to get his 15,000 men and 1,400 vehicles and tanks to Normandy is to drive them at least part way and hope to catch trains further north, somewhere. The entire Das Reich division splits into 3 separate groups, with the faster trucks and half-tracks moving ahead of the lumbering tanks trailing behind at a maximum speed of 30 kilometers per hour. Ahead of them lie 250 kilometers of exposed roads, with each vehicle kept 100 meters apart in case of airstrike, and constantly exposed to ambush. In the tiny hamlet of Grulejac, 8:30 a.m., local Maquis, led by Marius Godin, armed with a German pistol and World War rifle, a Bren gun, and a handful of grenades, opened fire on the Germans. In their return fire, they kill a dozen Maquis and civilians. The Germans roll on towards Sarlat, randomly shooting civilians as they go. 30 kilometers north, 500 resistance fighters, led by Jacques Chapot, have seized the town of Toul from its small German garrison, taking 50 prisoners. At 2100 that night, the 1st Das Reich units arrive to retake the town in a brief, intense firefight with the Maquis fighters. Led by Chapot, most escape, taking 30 German prisoners with them, who they execute in a village 50 kilometers away. The next morning, as more Das Reich armor tries to join forward units at Toul from the south, driving through the ancient town of Bretonneau, McPherson's team mine the D940 road and the surrounding trees. They blow the tracks off the leading armored vehicles, blocking the road. Then, as the Germans begin to work through the trees to outflank them, they bring down the trees on their attackers. In a 3-hour gun battle for the road, they destroy 3 German vehicles, but 18 Maquis are killed in the firefight. Meanwhile, in Toul, now aware of the fate of their comrades, the Germans round up 300 inhabitants. Then they gather the rest of the town's population to watch 99 of them hanged in the public square. Das Reich is now preoccupied with revenge. By June 9th, Limoges has been cut off for 2 days by the Maquis, led by aggressive local leader Georges Guingouin. 1st Battalion de Führer Regiment, led by Adolf Diekmann, finally breaks into the town that morning. The continued drive north is held up for hours by a single Maquis, 20-year-old Henri Rognon, firing on them until he is killed at 8 o'clock that night. At Argenton, the Maquis make a decoy attack and seize 2 petrol trains, blow up more rail lines, and capture 23 Germans. 53 French civilians are killed in revenge. The Germans are also obliged to retake Guéret, occupied by Maquis since June 6th. En route, their commander, Major Kampfer, is captured by Maquis scouts. A frantic German search begins until a French informant tells them he was burned alive in front of cheering Maquis fighters. 10th of June. Kampfer's comrade and friend, Major Adolf Diekmann, is told the Maquis, led by Guingouin, have a base at nearby Oradour-sur-Glane. Diekmann's men rapidly take over the town, finding no sign of the Maquis. Angry, frustrated, and wanting revenge for Kampfer's murder, he orders the roundup of the town's entire population. 190 men are taken into barns and shot. 245 women and 207 children are taken into the church to be shot and burned. In all, 643 innocent people murdered in the single biggest massacre of French civilians in World War II. Das Reich are still 500 kilometers from Normandy. In Normandy, the Germans have been losing 2,500 to 3,000 men a day since June 6th, but the battle is in stalemate. By now, the Allies had expected to take Caen and Cherbourg, but the 5 landing grounds have only just joined up. If Das Reich can get here soon, there's still a good chance they can stop their breakout. But half of Das Reich's tanks are still stranded at Toul. The long road journey has taken its toll. They need 14 new engines, new wheels, new tracks. The 100 Das Reich tanks that are still mobile have reached Périgueux railhead, ready to load onto the last remaining trains north and join the fight. But before they get to Normandy, they need to pick up enough fuel for the battle. So they head for Châtellerault. 2 days ago, SAS Commander John Tonkin got word from French railway workers that 11 petrol tankers were parked in the Châtellerault rail sidings. That same night, he sends his second-in-command, Tom Stevens, alone by bicycle on the 119-kilometer round trip to confirm the location of the petrol train. Stevens reports it is there, but too heavily guarded for a single SAS squadron to take on. So Tonkin calls in an airstrike. Next day, 24 Mosquitoes of 487 Squadron RNZAF and 107 Squadron RAF attack the rail sidings with 48 500-pound bombs and cannon fire. They destroy all 11 tankers, robbing Das Reich of the precious fuel reserves they will need. The first advanced units of Das Reich trickle into Normandy between the 15th and 30th of June and are immediately scattered in multiple battles to shore up the German defences. Das Reich, as a single division, does not begin to fight again until July 10th. By this time, the Allies have taken both Caen and Cherbourg, and the invasion is now unstoppable. Das Reich's journey from Montauban to Normandy cost the lives of many thousands of Maquis fighters and innocent civilians, at the expense of just 35 of its own men. But the cost in time, 2 weeks for a 3-day journey, was incalculable for the Third Reich.